Millions of travellers have now started their festive journeys, with motoring agencies warning of very heavy congestion on main roads. Today in particular has been branded Frantic Friday. Well, that's it. You're right up to date with the headlines. Now it's back to Lee Anderson.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome to Lee Anderson's Real World. I'm Lee Anderson, Reform UK Member of Parliament for Ashfield, and this is our Christmas special. And joining me today, we've got two local, it says legends here. Who's wrote this? You, Andy? Well, we've got Andy 12's trade unionist and self-proclaimed anarchist, Lisa McKenzie, Dr. Lisa McKenzie. Sorry about that, Lisa. Yeah. We're going to talk about Elon Musk. He's the richest man in the world. He met this week earlier with Nick Candy, the Reform UK Treasurer, and Nigel Farage. Bit of a furore in the mainstream media. He's going to donate $100 million. We're not sure about that, but look, and there's no doubt he's a very wealthy man. He cares deeply about his own country and this country. And if he does donate a few quid, maybe he'll get you a better jumper than you've got on today and sort yourself out. But seriously, is it okay for him to donate money to political parties in this country?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, I'm not a subscriber to Reform UK Limited, so I don't know whether they'd be able to give me a jumper. But no, I think this is baffling. This is the same Elon Musk, the same Nigel Farage that was saying when the Labour Party was sending over a couple of 20-year-olds to go and leaflet in Pennsylvania, that was direct interference with the US election. Yet now they're going, oh yeah, give us all the money. It just does, the hypocrisy doesn't add up. It's baffling. I don't think the Electoral Commission will let it happen, and it shouldn't happen. We shouldn't have foreign oligarchs donating to British politics. That shouldn't be happening.
Lisa, it works both ways. Because,
yeah, it does.
Because, and they're now whinging that Elon might send some money over to us, but in the same breath, they were sending people over to America to try and influence their election.
Yeah, and also both parties, both major parties, Tories and the Labour, they do take a lot of money from donors as well. So what you can't do is you can't take the money when it suits you, and then when reform comes along and they're going to take money, you can't say, well, you know, the Electoral Commission needs to change the rules now. So for me, that's what the point is here. You know, Starmer said he was going to get rid of sort of hypocrisy in politics. He was going to get rid of sort of sleaze, drain the swamp. That's not what he's done. He's now two-tier Kia. He's now a free gear Kia. You know, that's...
never here Kia.
Yeah, never here Kia. Yeah. You know, Granny Armour Starmer. That's it. You know, that's who he now is. And so, therefore, really, if that's how he's conducted himself, then, you know, when Elon Musk comes over and says, I'm going to donate this money to reform, really, he hasn't got a lot to say.
But Andy's got a lot of business interests all over the world, so I think he's got a right to, you know, if he wants to put his money where his mouth is, if you like. I mean, look at Labour Party. They took over £4.5 million from a South African businessman last year.
Who's a British citizen.
Nobody's whinging about that.
He's a British citizen who pays tax in the UK and owns a company in the UK. He owned one of the biggest UK companies.
Does Elon Musk pay tax in the UK?
No, I don't think he does, and he's not a British citizen. But he's not a British citizen. Okay. He's not a British citizen. Gary Lubner ran Autoglass. Yeah. He's been a British citizen. He's been a resident here for decades. Yeah. He has a right to donate to the UK Labour Party because he's a UK citizen. Okay. He has a direct interest. Elon Musk is a South African billionaire that lives in America that is somehow involved. Who knows what the incestuous relationship in the Trump administration? It's ridiculous.
It's interesting that the British citizen thing comes out only when we're talking about rich people that you don't want to get involved in something. I mean, now it's about being a British citizen. You know, if we were talking in another debate now, if any of us had said, oh, what about being a British citizen? You would have gone, no, it doesn't matter.
I don't think you should be a member of the Labour Party if you're not a citizen or a resident.
No?
No, I don't.
Right, OK.
I'm consistent on that.
Is that the party line? Is that the Labour Party line?
Well, I don't represent the Labour Party, and I think the Labour Party could do a lot better, and that's my view. OK. I don't think... it's consistent.
Because you said earlier about Keir Starmer being a granny harmer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sort of stuck because this record that's out for Christmas, I think it's number one, Andy.
Yeah.
But the BBC will not play it. Why is that?
I think, in fairness to the BBC, as much as I disagreed with their decision when Thatcher died, number 2 song at the time was Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, and as much as that was correct, they wouldn't play it. So I think there is a...
Dead?
Well, yeah, she was dead. Okay. So I think there is a matching of... they do have consistent behaviour when it comes to playing offensive songs on the top of the pops.
I'm not bothered about songs or what's number one or what anybody, you know, I am bothered about what is happening to people in their homes every day, all year. And what has happened since July is Keir Starmer has come in, he said he's going to be the change politician, he's going to come in, he's going to... I mean, he never said working class, he said working people, which doesn't mean the same. And what he's done, he's actually made working class people's lives more difficult, he's demonised them, and now where we are is sort of like a feeling of hopelessness going into 2025. And I think he's done a lot of damage, actually.
Andy, he's done some damage.
I think it's hard to disagree at this point, honestly. As a paid-up Labour member, someone who voted Labour, member of an affiliated Labour union, yeah.
So it's your fault as well, then?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as saying that. I think, yeah, realistically, after 14 years of the Tories, a change had to be made. There had to be difficult decisions to be made. And it has been a difficult 6 months. But I think the point of voting Labour is that they do care about the working class.
No, they don't.
The working class.
No, they don't. Do you know,
I think the next 5 years will be better than it would have been under the Tories for another 5 years.
Do you know why I know Labour don't care about the working class? Is because I come from this area, and we had a Labour MP for nearly 100 years consistently, and we're still bloody poor. So, you know...
And Labour Council?
And Labour councils. I live in Nottingham now. We've got a Labour council, which is bankrupt. You know, we've had Labour politicians... When we talk about governments, yeah, governments come and go, but those of us who's lived in the Red Wall, we've had Labour politicians for 100 years.
What is it about that then, Andy? Because Lisa makes a good point. I make this point sometimes on my political journey, that you look at all the Red Wall areas, they've all got a couple of things in common. They're all poor, the high streets are devastated, all the industry's gone, and what have they had over the last 100 years? They've had a Labour MP and Labour councils. Why is that?
I think it's probably a loyalty-based thing. You know, when we did have industry, when we did have real communities, the unions were the community and the unions were the Labour Party. That is the truth. But now, you know, we live in a post-industrial world. That's not the case with the Labour Party.
Some false promises there.
But when you were a member of the Tory administration, what did you do for this area? How did you help?
Shall we list it? The camera.
Where's the industry? Where's the industry?
Shall we list it?
Where's the industry?
2 new schools, Kirkby College, Ashfield School, 62 points.
What do you mean?
Listen,
Ashfield School's been a school for years.
It's been rebuilt. It's been rebuilt, Andy. Listen, pay attention. You might learn something.
That's a multi-academy trust.
£62.5 million.
It's a multi-academy trust.
Towns funding, £6.75 million for the Future High Streets Fund, £500,000 for Outram Street just down here for CCTV. There's lots going off in Ashfield. Had the most of the levelling up fund of any constituency.
And it looks fantastic, doesn't it?
And
Ashfield is still fantastic.
Joe, do you know what? I'm going to stick up for Lee now, which I never thought I'd say this, but I am. I'm actually going to stick up for Lee. I was born in Sutton Ashfield. I know this area, and what happened after the pits closed in the 90s, it was absolutely devastated. Yeah. It really was. And even up until sort of 5, 6, 7 years ago, the town centre was absolutely devastated. When I come back now, you can see a difference. And I'm telling you now, it is because there is a local MP who knows the area. And even though people will, you know, when I make this point, they'll say, oh, why are you sticking up for Lee Anderson? I'm like, I'm not. I'm telling you the truth, that when there is a local MP that is local, he knows what buses to catch. Yep. He understands, you know, what the history of the area. Things do get done. It did help that Lee was in the Conservative Party and they were in power, and so they did give some money, which they wouldn't have done when it was
Steve, you've lived here all your life. This is Steve Fleming. He lives in Kirkby in Ashfield, my neck of the woods. You've lived here all your life. What sort of changes have you seen over the years for the worse and for the better?
Well, yeah, I do go back a long way. Years ago in the 70s when I was growing up, it was absolutely thriving. Down Outram Street was absolutely packed solid. You had to queue up to get in shops. It really was a thriving area, but then we went through a bit of a lull. Yeah. The pits shut down, and you look at places nearby like Hucknall. You even used to have a zoo.
I come on, yeah. Zoo, yeah.
The pits shut and the people left and went to other areas. But now I think we're on our way back now. Yeah. I think we are on our way back. It's not as fast as I'd like, but I'm glad I actually lived in the time I lived.
I think it feels that way. You're never going to have those big industries like the pits that employed 1,000, 1,500 men, and some of the factories did the same as well. But it feels like we are picking up these jobs. I know from my visits to businesses every week that one of the main problems they have is recruiting people, skilled people, to do these jobs, and that's a bit of a problem at the moment.
Well, it is. We've got to look at getting the apprenticeships back, and we've got to, and people have got to be prepared to be retrained.
Yeah.
And I think it's that direction that'll kick on.
Well, you did an apprenticeship, didn't you? And
yeah, I did.
In scaffolding, I don't like to talk about it. He also thought earlier that Lisa was a waspy woman. Would you like to just explain that? Because
that's not entirely true.
Well, Lisa, you like to come back on that?
Lisa is far too young to ever be a waspy woman.
He did actually say earlier that I was Lisa.
It was a question. It was a question, not a
Are you a
statement.
waspy woman?
I mean,
It was
it's quite
like
rude, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, it took us a year to get Lisa back on this show. She came for the Christmas edition last year, didn't you?
I did.
Somebody wound you up the wrong way.
Yeah.
A certain former Tory.
It wasn't me.
MP, a minister.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't me.
And this year, Andy's had a pop at you. But
Yeah,
Just for you next year.
That's all we need really here. It's just me and him.
It's safe to say, guys, I know you're from Ladybrook in Mansfield.
I'm not from Ladybrook.
Carsick, sorry.
I'm from
I do apologise,
Carsick.
Carsick. You're from Ladybrook, so there's two similar sort of estates, aren't they, in this neck of the woods? Similar sort of people, similar sort of backgrounds, and but slightly different politics.
Yeah, well, you know.
Well,
Not really. Culturally very similar.
I think. I mean, I was never Labour, never. You know, my mum was, my dad was, all my family, everybody was solid Labour. But I think that experience of going through the strike, and seeing what the Labour Party did to the miners, also what the TUC did to the miners as well. And I think as a young person, because I was 16 at the time, going through that, I thought, do you know what, all of these people, they're rotten. And actually, as I grew up, I started to look at other politics, and that's when I started reading and finding out about sort of self-determination and anarchism.
They've been on a journey. You've been on a journey too, Andy, as well.
Yeah, I got the #1 bus here. That was my journey.
Yeah, that's amazing. He's not big, he's not clever, he's not very funny. That's great, guys. Thanks for that. Coming up next, we're going back in the day.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Bansky's Girl with Balloon is arguably one of the artist's most recognisable images. So when a limited edition print signed by the artist was stolen from Grove Gallery in London, an investigation was launched by the Metropolitan Police's flying squad. The work was thankfully retrieved. The desire to own great works of art has once again become evident this week, albeit a little further afield on the continent. Police in Italy have uncovered a criminal network forging artworks by Bansky, Andy Warhol, Pablo Picasso and others. Investigators said that they've seized more than 2,100 fake pieces of art with a potential market value of about £165 million. With me to discuss that case is the Chief Executive of Grove Gallery, James Ryan.
The art world needs to tighten up. It is known as a bit of a Wild West out there because people will try and chance it with these forgeries. You're quite right, there's only one actual original, but even auction houses have been hoodwinked before.
The burglary that you suffered is sub judice, so we have to be careful what we say about it. But it must have been a bit of a shock to you. I mean, was it a broken window, a smashed door?
At 10, 11 o'clock at night, and just hammer straight through, shoulder barging through the door, and then in and out. You know, gone in 60 seconds. I must say, I know.
Obviously, that a targeted attack. The person would have known what he or she was after. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I must say, I know they cop a lot of flack, the police force, but the flying squad got the artwork back within 3 days. They were fantastic. So yeah, I've never heard or seen, other than the Thomas Crown affair type film, I just didn't think it'd be happening to little old me, in Fitzrovia, but it did, and thankfully we got it back.
GB News.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Every Saturday, 10 till 12, we'll bring you all of the news that you need to know. We'll also remind you that there is so much to smile about.
It's my favourite time of the week. I get to relax, enjoy some light-hearted stories, and let Ellie teach me about fashion too.
That's Saturday Morning Live, every Saturday, 10 till 12.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Lee Anderson's Real World. I'm joined today by Abby Hickson, who's a Thwaiter. She's from Huthwaite in Nottinghamshire, a constituent of mine, and I'd like to consider you as a friend as well, Abby. Now, I think it was a couple of years back now, isn't it? You had a very traumatic event in your life. So you just want to run me through what happened?
Yeah, it was November 2022. I've suffered with tonsillitis my whole life from being very, very young. On this occasion, I'd got a really severe sore throat. Went to the doctor as I normally do, get prescribed the normal antibiotic that I've had all my life, and went back home, did the usual, I'm going to go to bed for a couple of hours, feel a bit rough, etc. And something at 6 o'clock on the Monday, the 28th of November, woke me up and I just couldn't breathe. I was fighting for my breath. Obviously, I wasn't able to shout to my husband downstairs, so the only thing I could do was bang my legs on the floor. Obviously, Steve came running up and could see there's something seriously wrong, rang for the ambulance. But because I'd taken an antibiotic at 9 o'clock on the Monday morning, by 6:30, 6:45 at night, all they was wanting to treat me for was anaphylactic shock. Okay. So I got transferred to Kingsmill Hospital, A&E. I was put on 10 litres of oxygen because I was still struggling to breathe. And all they kept doing was jabbing my leg for anaphylactic shock. So this was still 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, which obviously I've done a lot of research now. Anaphylactic shock doesn't take that long. Nothing else was given to me or offered to me, and I deteriorated very quickly in A&E. I was put through to intensive care at Kingsmill, where I just started dying and fighting for my life. Every organ in my body was shutting down. I was then having to be turned on to my front, injected then with other injections to try and get my heart to start again, my lungs, everything. At this point, Kingsmill knew that there was, at that point where there was nothing more in that sense they could do, they needed more expertise. So they contacted Glenfield Hospital in Leicester, where a specialist team, which is an ECMO machine, came straight over, blue lighted to Kingsmill and put me onto an ECMO machine, which is the biggest cannula through your neck that goes straight down into your heart, and it acts as an artificial lung. And it's only due to ECMO that I'm sat here today. Within ECMO, you can not survive, you can lose limbs like myself. So it's both my hands and both my legs below the knee. I lost sight in my left eye due to a bleed behind the brain. But obviously, because I was in an induced coma, I wasn't aware, I couldn't see out of my eye, so it was never discussed.
But it's sepsis. That's
sepsis.
What you had, sepsis, and it got missed along this journey.
It got missed, yeah.
And sepsis is a disease which kills 1,000 people a week in this country, 5 an hour. It kills millions all around the planet, you know. The unlucky ones die. Some unlucky ones survive and lose their limbs. You lost your hands and your feet, didn't you?
Yeah,
as well?
both legs below the knees, yeah.
And I guess what we're trying to do, Abby, is get that awareness out there, because you came to Parliament with me a few months ago.
Yeah.
And I did my own debate in Westminster Hall on sepsis awareness.
Yeah.
And I know things are happening, within the help service, but I don't think it's going quick enough.
No, I don't think there's enough around sepsis. You know, children, if they get meningitis, you know what to do. Yeah. Every parent out there will get a cup, roll the glass. I think there isn't enough out there for sepsis, which, if you think about it, with the amount of people every hour that are dying, there should be that much emphasis around sepsis now. There's posters that are in some toilets, could it be sepsis? But there isn't enough behind.
See, I never knew what sepsis was till a few years ago.
No, I didn't.
And most people in the street, if you stop them, and I'm sure there's some people in here today won't know what sepsis is, and it's one of the biggest killers.
And it's obviously a silent killer. I didn't know. I just thought it was genuine.
So Abby, I know from speaking to you before, you wake up, they tell you you've got sepsis, your limbs are dying, and they tell you they've got to take them off. I mean, what does that do to that?
Well, to be quite honest, I'm a mum of 2 girls, so...
Yeah?
Yeah. When it was Steve, actually, who told me when I were in Glenfield, obviously I could see, you know, that they were black. I knew something were wrong. And Steve explained to me, and me being me, well, I'm here, I'm still here, so let's get on with it. We've got 2 cracking girls, I'm not going anywhere, and that's it. I'm fight for everything I've got, and that's what I did.
So I guess your daughters have been a great support for you.
Yeah.
Are they helpful around the house?
Yes.
Yeah?
I'll say it because we're on camera.
What about the husband? What's the husband like? Does he tidy the bedroom up?
He's getting there. Yeah, he's getting there. No, Steve's brilliant. Steve's been my absolute rock, you know, and my mum and my dad and my auntie and my elderly nan, she's 93, even she wants to come up and clean and iron. And no, that my network of people I've got around me, my friends and family they've been my fighting spirit to...
So you've lost some limbs, Abby, but you've not lost your family and your loved ones.
No.
And there might be some good news around the corner, especially with the hands.
Yeah, again, obviously it's never been anything I've ever thought that was even out there. When I was in City Hospital, when I was going for my first operation for my right hand, there was the talk that there is a hospital at Leeds that if you're lucky enough, you can have hand transplants. I've been in talks with Leeds. It's a very, very long process. And if I am ever lucky, you know, because unfortunately someone's got to lose their loved one for me. Yeah. But if I am ever lucky to have that, then who knows?
That's going to be life-changing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think we're nearly done now, but I just, you know, it's important we get this message out about sepsis awareness. I know you're working on it. I'm going to try and help you with it.
Yeah.
So for people looking in today who don't know what sepsis is, just give us a clue as to the telltale signs of what to look for and what to do.
The telltale signs that I've learned since obviously being on this journey is you feel physically drained, flu symptoms. You can feel like your head isn't connected to your body, your legs aren't connected. My major one for me was the breathlessness, physically couldn't get my breath. Some people it can be severe sickness, and in a lot of rare cases, adults can get rashes like children.
Abby, wonderful discussion. What do you think, guys? Give her a round of applause. Coming up next, we're going back in the day.
Hi there. If you've got travel plans over the weekend, it's worth staying in touch with the weather conditions because it is turning increasingly windy, especially in the north and the west. That wind coming from the northwest will make it feel colder with some wintry showers by Sunday morning. We do have a spell of rain and gusty winds clearing through during the evening. Then a gap between weather systems. Clear spells for England and Wales later evening, but overnight that gap is squeezed out by a arriving cloud from the west and spells of wet and windy weather pushing into Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England and Wales by dawn. That, of course, will make it feel mild as we start off Saturday in the far northwest. In the south and southeast, Clear spells will mean that it's going to be a touch colder, likewise for northeast Scotland. But we do have a lot of cloud first thing. The wind's picking up strength. Outbreaks of rain are moving through much of England and Wales. Brighter skies for Scotland and Northern Ireland, but here the strongest winds arrive after the cloud clears, and a lot of showers. These showers moving in thick and fast across central and western Scotland as well as Northern Ireland. Heavy at times, and perhaps with some sleet and snow mixed in over hills later on into the afternoon. The wind will pick up through the day, peaking during the morning and into the afternoon for northern and western Scotland. The risk for the far northwest of wind gusts of 80 miles an hour or more. Elsewhere across northern UK, we can expect 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. So the potential for transport disruption, and that risk continues into Sunday with the wind continuing to be strong all the way across northern and western parts of the UK. In addition to that, we've got showers, and first thing, don't be surprised if you see a few flakes of snow mixed in with those showers, even at lower levels across the Midlands, Northern England and Wales, but they'll turn back to rain later. Much milder weather arrives for Christmas, and some rain in the northwest.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
this is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop star to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
I'm Mark White at the GB News Centre. We're just interrupting our programming just to bring you some very concerning news emerging from Germany. Emergency services in Germany are responding to a major incident in the city of Magdeburg after a car careered into a Christmas market. Well, these are the latest images we're receiving from Magdeburg, a main city in central Germany, around 100 miles from Berlin. Dozens of emergency services, as you can see there, are converging on the scene in the city centre. There are reports of multiple casualties at this popular Christmas market. Paramedics on the scene now are triaging injured at that location before transferring them to major trauma centres in the area. Well, a government spokesman, Matthias Schupp, told the German news site MDR that the driver of the vehicle has now been arrested at the scene. There's no word as yet from the German authorities about why this crash occurred, but we've seen video of the incident. It's really just too graphic to show you that particular imagery, but we can tell you that viewing those pictures, we can see that the vehicle appeared to be travelling at high speed, careering into dozens of people who were there at this Christmas market. And of course, the real concern with any Christmas market is there will have been lots of young people, children, the most vulnerable in society there to see this very popular event in the city of Magdeburg. And of course, as well, it's worth saying, although there's no confirmation about any potential motivation or whether this was an accident or what it was, but there are, of course, authorities across Europe on high alert for the potential of terrorist attacks over the festive period. No confirmation that that's what we've been witnessing in this German city. We will bring you more at the top of the hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome back to Lee Anderson's Real World. Got some more real people on the show tonight. Steve Fleming from Kirkby in Ashfield, my neck of the woods. Steve, you've been doing some sterling work lately, a bit of fundraising, raising awareness for teenage cancer. But you've got a very sad story to tell me tonight, haven't you?
Yeah, unfortunately, mine and my wife's life fell apart. It was Christmas 2019. Got a 24-year-old son, a very active son, enjoyed his sports, enjoyed life. Got diagnosed with a very rare form of cancer, rhabdomyosarcoma. It's a very rare form. The odds are something like 500,000 to 1. And then he began treatment, and we had to go through the process of virtually living our lives at the Nottingham City Hospital while I went through chemotherapy. But eventually he got over it, he got the all clear. And he went back to playing his sports, and he played football and he played cricket and carried on as normal. It was inspirational watching somebody that overcame, you know, such diversity like that. But unfortunately it came back after a few more years, and eventually April 2023 he passed away.
So I think I met you. I met Connor, your son. Yeah, I met Connor, didn't I? I think it was last year. We did a charity cricket match in your neck of the woods, and like you say, really, really active young man, and nobody saw this coming, did they?
No, it's a bolt from the blue, and it's a real shock to the system. But ultimately, you've got to deal with it. You've got to be as positive as possible, and that's what Connor was. He always remained positive, and it was inspirational. And that's why in his final weeks when he came home, we knew it weren't going to last long. I had some chats with him, and I asked him if I could do something in his memory the year after. And he actually told me, he says, you love cycling and you want to do the London-Paris, yeah, go for it. So we decided not just to set it all up, but I decided to do it for charity. A charity close to our hearts is the Teenage Cancer Trust, as you mentioned, particularly the Hogarth ward at Nottingham City Hospital, where the staff and the doctors are absolutely superb. They look after you, and it really is a homely place as much as possible, you know, but people are, you know, trying to recover there is difficult sometimes, but they do a great job there. So I decided to sort out the London-Paris. Wow. It wasn't just going to be an adventure. We was going to do it for the good cause, and I was going to get a team together. I got a team together of 6 and 7 of his closest friends, and the loyalty that they showed was amazing. I was asking them if they wanted to cycle. It's about 280 miles from London to Paris. In Connor's memory, but they'd not even got bikes. They weren't cyclists, and they all put their hands up and said, yes, I'll do it. So they spent about £1,000 buying new bikes, and they got training for nothing. And I was in awe, and I was humbled by the fact that they really wanted to do it. There was one particular guy who did it, Gary Wilson. Big shout out for him, because in 2022, from nowhere, Gary, who was a friend, and I used to work with him, he told me he'd been diagnosed with cancer as well. So we went up to see him, and met Connor for the first time. And Connor, although he was suffering and he was still having chemotherapy, he was giving Gary some good advice on how to handle it, you know, and what to look for, and you know, and to stay positive, and Gary appreciated that. And I asked him, you know, as a challenge and something to look forward to, I want you to come on that ride with us. And to my surprise, he was not just up for it, he came and did the ride, and he was super fit. Wow. And again, another inspirational character.
So losing a child is unimaginable, Steve. It really is, and this is something that will, you know, stay with you forever. But you are creating a wonderful legacy for Conor, aren't you?
Yeah, well, the London Paris, it was, as I say, it was for a great charity. We had a great adventure. It was an adventure. Wanted to make it everything, tick boxes, if you like, all the right boxes. I wanted it to be inspirational, wanted it to be funny and emotional, and we...
But you love your cricket as well, don't you? So what are you going to be doing moving forward on with your cricket as well?
Well, cricket, we've actually got a Conor Fleming Memorial Day every year, where again there's cricket matches, and you would have been involved in the last one if I hadn't got the dates wrong.
You got the dates wrong, didn't you?
Yeah,
So that's your fault. Yeah. I was all geared up.
I know.
I got the whites ready, the pads ready. Got my eye in for another record-breaking score, like I did last year, if you remember. But I was very disappointed in you, Steve, for getting the dates wrong.
Well, I was disappointed. The only man better than Joe Root couldn't make it. I have apologised for it several times. It's ongoing, and that ride itself raised £7,700.
Wow.
And overall, in Conor's memory now, he passed away April 2023. We're up to £23,000 we've raised for that charity, and we all were very proud of that.
So you must come into contact with other families as well that's lost loved ones on this journey that you're on.
Yeah, I know when Conor was alive, he got in touch, and there's groups where you're talking to other people who have got similar illnesses, and you've just got to drive each other on and remain positive, and it's not always easy.
No.
It's not easy, obviously, if you've been diagnosed, but it's not easy for the parents and close family.
But you're lucky as well, like me, you come from the same community as me, which is lots of good people in that neck of the woods that wrap their arms around you and support you, isn't there, Steve?
Oh, the local cricket club which Conor played for, Kirkby Portland Cricket Club, have been absolutely fantastic. They've supported me and backed me to the hill, and it's a fantastic cricket club. Also, the local pub, which I know you know as well, the Cricketers Arms, aptly named. Carl and Karen, they've all supported me, and all the locals, and it's fantastic the support we've had. I couldn't ask for more support.
So, Steve, I understand that you've been doing a bit of filmmaking as well.
Yes, my nephew Ed Fleming made a documentary. We took some highlights on mobile phones, and he turned it into a fantastic documentary of which you can see it on spinningshapes.com, or if you want to go on YouTube, search the Spinning Shapes channel and view it. It's 27 minutes long. It's emotional, it's inspirational, and it's funny.
I've got it on my phone. You sent it me last week. I will watch it. I tried to watch it on the train coming home, but I kept losing my signal. But yeah, I will watch that. It's absolutely a wonderful story. Wonderful work that you're doing. Very, very sad story indeed, but I'm sure that your son Conor will be very proud of you and the things you're achieving. And I'm feeling incredibly proud, Steve, to know you. I class you as a friend now. And not just for the stuff you're doing for the Cancer Trust, but for the other stuff you're doing for local young people as well, in cricket, in sport, getting people out there, giving up your own time, coaching people. I think you should be incredibly proud of yourself, and I think we should give him a round of applause for sharing his story. Thanks, Steve. That's Steve Fleming, or AKA Flembo, as they call you, in Kirkby. But coming up next, we've got Last Orders Do Not Go Away.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Go on, Eamon.
Go on, Eamon. What does Eamon mean?
I mean, I must admit, I never liked my name, ever. And then I realised that it's made me more individual because there are no other Eamons about. So therefore I can go by, whereas no one would know Isabel. She's Isabel Webster. She'd have two names.
But Isabel means something like polite.
But I was named after the TV presenter. My mother was in hospital, couldn't think of a name, and the TV presenter, Eamon Andrews, popped up on the television, and she said, "Oh, he's got hair like my Eamon," and she called me Eamon after him.
Oh, lovely! Oh,
that may have determined what I ended up doing.
My mum said if I was a boy,
I would have been called Marius.
Marius?
Which I think is quite a weird choice.
It is a
Marius
weird
Webster.
one.
I'm forever grateful.
I say this, whatever you call a child, however weird or strange, whatever, the child becomes that name. So
Over half of us judge people instantly on their name. So we make assumptions on people based on their name. I'm not sure I do, but I mean, you mentioning you changing your name from an African name to a more anglicised name.
No doubt about that. So there's no doubt about that. Like, you know, if I'm on the blower, I sound like a London boy.
Yeah.
But I turn up as Keezy. Boy, mate, you don't belong around here.
Yeah.
That was what it was like 50 years ago. You know, now, I mean, and like even today. So sometimes today, like, I get some speaking engagements, and I will wear my traditional wear because, you know, I've accepted Keezy and my African heritage. And then the abuse you get on social media, you're not British, call yourself English, mate.
No.
You know, and you get all sorts of lyrics. So a name, when a name says your ancestry is from another part of the country, part of the world, it can be detrimental.
GB News, the People's Channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date. Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's time for Last Orders at the Bar, and I've got probably the best guest of the year on my show tonight, and that's Colin Thacker, top Uthwaite lad. Thinks he can play a bit of football. He did back in the day. He wasn't bad, actually. He played for Leeds United. But, Colin, you come from a big family in Uthwaite. You know, you come from the same place as me. When I hear people these days talk about poverty in this country, we saw real poverty growing up. Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
One of 12, youngest of 12. And very, very tough. Slept 3 in a bed, 6 in a bedroom. Never had anything present-wise and things like that. Christmas, my mum tried her hardest to get just food on the table for us.
You had a really good mum, didn't you?
My mum was phenomenal mum. Wished I could just have 5 minutes with her. Yeah.
Because I can remember you lot, you know, growing up, like you say, 12 of you.
Yeah.
You didn't always have a lot of money.
No.
I know your dad worked hard, but your dad had a tough time during the war, hadn't he?
Yeah, my dad served in Burma for 3.5, 4 years. Came back, ended up in mines, had to finish through ill health, and time was tough.
But that must have affected him, Cole, having 4 years in Burma.
Without a doubt. As a child, it was to see my dad change from a loving person to how can I explain? It used to frighten me at times because the stress what he'd gone through, it just changed from one person to another within a matter of minutes.
I suppose that's like PTSD, what they call it these days.
Yes, it is. That's what it were. I didn't understand it at the time when I was 5, 6, 7 year old, and that's why I say it frightened me. But understanding it now, I can understand it more, and I realised what he had to go through.
But we talked about poverty, Colin, and people like today use food banks. No food banks back in them days.
No.
And weren't you involved at one time in an incident in the allotments?
Definitely. What happened is, again, back in the day when my dad ill health, it was called a gyro. He used to have a gyro. And one of my sister's boyfriends pinched that one day, and he cashed it in, and my mum hadn't got no money. she sat there and whatever crying. So what we decided to do as a family, we raided the allotments in Uthwaite to make sure that my mum and everybody
what was you borrowing, Cole?
We just fetched all the vegetables. We got everything what we could get. Took it back home.
Yeah.
We got all tomatoes out of the greenhouses and everything. We just first thing what happened when we got home and took it all back, we got hammered. My mum smashed us and she
smashed you. What? She gave you a good hiding.
She gave us a good hiding sort of thing for pinching. But then she broke down in tears and thanked us because she knew that desperate measures, you know, we were desperate for her.
But you weren't doing it because you were thieves, was you?
No, we did it because we had to. There was nothing back in them days and whatever for my mum to, you know, go and...
But I look at you now, Cole, and I look at you now, I see you knocking around Uthwaite with your kids and your grandkids, and you look like the proudest man in the world because you've got a beautiful wife. Your kids have done all right. You've got your grandkids that they absolutely adore. You've done all right, mate, haven't you?
I've worked hardly, and it got again. It was driven into us when we was young. If you wanted anything in life, you had to work for it, and that's what we've done. And like I say, I've said again, 1 of 12, Lee. None of us has been in trouble. None of us has been in prison. We've all worked and whatever, and all earned and got our own properties, and it pays off. It pays off. Hard work pays off without a doubt. And it's, you know, it's been tough at times, and like I say, but nowhere near.
How many paper rounds did you have, Cole?
I used to have 2 in the morning at week, Saturdays and Sundays. I took Mansfield Recorder on Wednesday, Thursday night, and then I had to, I did horse stables on Saturdays and Sundays as well.
So you were slacking a bit, weren't you? You weren't putting the hours in?
It was the only way, Lee, that I could get any money. My mum couldn't afford anything. She couldn't give us anything extra. She never had any extra. All his food and whatever, we lived off his own garden. We had to, again, we come home from school, first thing was, get your school clothes off, get your play clothes on, an hour in garden before you can do anything. And that's how it was.
So your garden was your food bank?
Without a doubt. And it's... We relied on it, and we all had to do it. There were nobody got any preference or anything. We had to do that, and to make sure that we knew my mum could cope with it.
You've upset me a little bit, Cole, today, coming with that shirt on. Leeds United, but you did all right at football at school, didn't you? You was probably one of the best footballers round here. I know you were. And you went to Leeds United, didn't you, as an apprentice?
I did. I had 4.5 years there at Leeds. And that, again, talking about my mum, Lee, made her the proudest woman on this planet. She just couldn't, you know, she was so proud it was untrue. And then I had 4.5 years, I ended up breaking my ankle, come out, and went out to Iceland, spent 4 years, 4 summers out there and whatever, and played local non-league football and played for England non-league international.
That's amazing. That's all right.
Yeah.
Then come back to the to Uthwaite. And started your family. And you're a proper home bird, aren't you?
Love my family to bits. They mean everything. My wife, I wouldn't swap her for anything. My children, again, I've put into them and installed into them in life. If you want things in life, you've got to work hard for it.
You've got this dodgy Leeds United shirt on, which is triggering me. But you went to actually play for Leeds United, didn't you?
I did. I had, like I say, 4.5 years out at Leeds United. Enjoyed every minute. Broke my ankle and come out of the pro game. But
your mother must have been proud of you.
Without a doubt. And again, I couldn't... if I could have 5 minutes with her now, Lee, it would make everything, because she did absolutely everything for me. You know, people you talk about poverty. My mum gave everything up for us, everything, and she was always there. We always went to school clean, and we always fed, and there was nothing...
And if you left your dinner at night time, what did you have for your breakfast?
we couldn't leave as dinner at night. I have had a cooked dinner for breakfast because my dad's thing on life is you don't leave it. If you don't eat it, you have it for the next meal. And I've had a cooked dinner for breakfast before, but again, my mum never wasted anything. She never wasted anything.
It's a great story, mate, especially this time of year as well.
Yeah.
Cole, great to see you, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, mate.
Thanks, no problem,
you're
mate.
a good man, Cole. That's Cole Thacker, a legend. Thanks for joining me on Lee Anderson's Real World. It's been another great show with some great guests. Look, this is our last show before Christmas, so a very Merry Christmas to everybody. Ho, ho, ho. Coming up next, we've got Friday Night Live.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Storm Dino so clears, but it remains often cloudy and sometimes windy around coastal areas, particularly for the Canary Islands and Madeira. A fairly strong northwesterly flow dragging in some cloud and some outbreaks of rain at times. Fairly settled across Portugal and Spain, but as we move further east, cloudy with some showers at times, particularly for Rome and at times parts of Greece. But it generally looks like it's improving by the time we reach the middle of the week, with the best of the temperatures across Madeira.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's the biggest, greatest Great British giveaway so far, with your chance to win a spectacular £50,000 in tax-free cash. 2025 could be amazing, with plenty of treats, holidays and fun on the horizon. How would you enjoy that cash? £50,000 will make someone our biggest ever winner. For another chance to win, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. You can call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB10 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 31st of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
I'm Patrick Christys. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Apparently, in the Mail, page 5, hard-pressed bosses already having to deal with deadlines, red tape and staff who won't actually come into the office over Christmas. And they're saying that Christmas parties this year are going to be as lame as ever because everyone's afraid of basically getting cancelled or misbehaving or getting sacked for their behaviour. Would you risk it, Trey, at Christmas?
Do you know, I've actually never had a normal job in my life, so I wouldn't last a second because I'm not very politically correct. But it must be horrendous, really, because rather than enjoying yourself, you're having to completely always censor yourself. And it might be the most innocent of stuff that's said to someone that they then take offence to, which means you're going to probably just keep your mouth shut, which doesn't sound like the best of parties, does it, really?
No. Tricky one, isn't it? Because you're not at work, so it's not an office issue if, you know, some banter and it's taken the wrong way. But still, it's still a work environment, isn't it?
Yeah. If HR shows up, it's a work party. It's a work event.
HR shows up, I'm gone.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. And so even for us this year, first of all, it's the first year we're calling it a holiday party. I don't know how I felt about that.
Really? What, your company's doing that?
Yeah, they're calling it a holiday party.
Oh, no, oh, no.
Yeah, I know. I voted against.
So they got rid of the word
Christmas.
Why?
Because we want to be inclusive.
How's it not inclusive to call it Christmas?
I know. Trust me.
Are you still going to go? I wouldn't bother going. I'd say no.
I am going to go, but I'm going to go dressed as Mrs. Claus, and it's going to be Christmassy, and I'm going to make sure that Christmas enters the door with me.
Yeah, you spread that Christian vibe.
100%. But outside of that, there is that element of HR showing up, and HR will be sober, and they've already prepped them to say, like, listen, this isn't your party. HR can have their party. This is your hangout.
Yeah.
Make sure everyone's being PC.
GB News, the People's Channel.